The forbidden desires women keep hidden from men are not always the ones they openly admit to having, because there are things women want, and then there are things they don't want to admit they want, especially not to you, and sometimes not even to themselves. These aren't the sweet or obvious desires plastered all over dating blogs. They're the quiet cravings, the subtle longings tucked between raised eyebrows and unspoken glances. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on 8 forbidden desires women secretly carry when they're interested in a man, but haven't yet crossed that invisible line. These are the desires that exist beneath her calm surface, the feelings that live between her silence and her heartbeat. So stick around until the final one, because it's the one she hopes you'll never discover. One she wants to be overheard, being praised, not directly complimented, but overheard, because it hits different. When you're talking to someone else and casually mention something positive about her, her ambition, her humor, her confidence, or her natural charm, and she happens to catch just a small part of it, that quiet moment lights her up. It's a form of covert validation. She doesn't have to respond or act impressed. She just absorbs the warmth of being admired from a distance. It feels more authentic, more earned, and far less transactional than a direct compliment. Psychologically, it creates a deeper sense of worth because admiration that isn't intended for her ears feels genuine rather than strategic. 2, she wants to know another woman wants you, and this has more layers than simple jealousy. Jealousy isn't always a negative emotion. Sometimes it's a form of confirmation. She may not even consciously realize it, but there's a thrill she feels when another woman shows attraction toward you. It confirms her own instincts. It makes her interest feel safer and more justified, because if someone else sees your value, then she feels validated in wanting you too. Suddenly you're no longer just a man in her orbit, you're a scarce resource, a prize that someone else desires, and that scarcity triggers her competitive and emotional instincts, making her more drawn to you than before. 3, she wants you to challenge her ego just enough, not in an arrogant or disrespectful way, but in that subtle, grounded way that says you see through her act. If she prides herself on being mysterious, she secretly craves the man who can read between her lines and quietly decode her moods. A subtle call-out, a knowing glance, a calm remark that pierces through her practiced expressions can disarm her completely. It's not confrontation, it's recognition. When you make her feel like you see the parts she hides even from herself, she feels both exposed and understood, and that mix is intoxicating because it's rare. 4, she wants you to notice what she doesn't say. The pauses between her sentences, the quick changes in tone, the micro-reactions that flash across her face and vanish before most men catch them. If you notice that and reflect it gently, without making her feel cornered, you become a rare presence in her world. Most men listen only to words, but the man who perceives hesitation behind her "I'm fine," or the flicker of discomfort behind her laugh, awakens something deeper in her. She feels seen before she ever gives permission, and that is one of the strongest emotional triggers of connection a woman can experience. 5, she wants you to create silence without awkwardness, because most men fear quiet moments and rush to fill them with words. She desires the kind of man who can sit beside her in stillness without fidgeting or checking his phone. A silence that feels intentional, not empty, communicates presence and confidence. When you create that quiet space that feels emotionally safe, it tells her your energy doesn't depend on noise. It tells her your presence is enough, and that stillness becomes magnetic. In those moments, she feels drawn to your calm because it contrasts with the restless energy of most men. 6, she wants to be the reason you hesitate, because if she sees you as composed and in control, there's a subtle thrill in watching you lose. Your rhythm for her, a half-second pause before you respond, a look that lingers a bit too long, or a word that almost slips out but doesn't. These are the small cracks that make her feel powerful. Not because she broke you, but because she reached. A part of you no one else has. That quiet moment of hesitation communicates something words can't. It says she affects you, and yet you're strong enough to hold back, and that tension is what keeps her hooked. 7, she wants to be studied, not just stared at, because she's used to men looking but not truly seeing. When you quietly observe the small details, like how she adjusts her ring when she's nervous, or how her voice deepens when she talks about something she loves, it separates you from everyone else. She doesn't want to be objectified, she wants to be understood. And when you decode her, instead of devouring her with your eyes, she feels a rare kind of connection. The woman who feels deeply seen by a man starts to associate him with emotional safety, and that is where deeper attraction begins. 8, she wants to feel like a temptation you resist, and this is the one she'll never say aloud because it's the most forbidden of them all. She wants to feel that you desire her intensely and still choose not to act on it, not yet. The delayed gratification creates a tension that's electric. She'll test your self-control to see if you'll falter. But when you hold your ground with quiet confidence, she doesn't see it as rejection. She sees it as power. The restraint turns into intrigue, because in her mind it means you have depth, you have discipline, and that kind of composure is something she can't forget. It's not rejection, it's mastery, and in that, tension obsession begins. These hidden desires aren't manipulative or shallow. They are psychological reflections of how attraction works on a deeper emotional level. When a man learns to recognize and respect these layers, he moves beyond surface charm into something magnetic, authentic, and lasting.